This is part 2 of the scariest paranormal encounter that I've ever experienced in my life. So continuing where we left off, I asked Nick what his helper's nationality was, and he told me that she was Filipino, and that was when I flipped out because whatever that was in that room is definitely not a guardian spirit. And I was about to share what I saw, and right before I said that, Durga looked at the door, and I also looked at the door because it felt like someone was trying to eavesdrop on our conversation at the door. Like, we both looked at the door at the same time, and then Durga and I, we just looked at each other, and then she just said, shh. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps again. Fuck, it's so scary. Okay, so after that, I just shut up and we just started talking about other things, and that was when we felt the presence go away from the door. So that was when we felt a little bit more safe. So I actually considered staying at his place until morning. Like, I would not get out of the room. I would leave that door closed until daybreak because it's just too scary to get out of this place. But then it was 1:45 and Durga was like, I'm booking a Grab bag. You should book a Grab too. Little did I know that was her warning to me to leave this place because she didn't feel safe for me. Because she knew that thing was out to get me and that I wasn't supposed to be there anymore. So I was like, fine, I'll just book a Grab as well. So here comes the plot. We have that cup of water, right? And I really thought of just leaving it to Nick and let him return it to the kitchen himself. But as house guests, I feel like that's not very nice of us if we don't put it back at the sink, So Durga took her cup and walked to the kitchen herself, without me. And I was like, shit bro, I don't want to walk past that room. But I was like, I have no choice. So guess what I did? So I took my cup and I walked past that room. And when I walked past that room, I could not, I tell you, when I opened the door, I already felt its presence. And when I stepped right in front of the sister's room, I'm sorry, I'm having a lot of goosebumps right now. I didn't even look into the room, I just looked straight. But the feeling, the intensity of the presence, it was right there at the door, right beside me, and I knew it was looking at me and it was out to get me. My goosebumps were all over my body, like it was full blown, all the way to my feet. I kid you not, like it was so terrifying that once I walked past it, right, I was like, Durga, I cannot do this anymore, I put the cup on the kitchen counter, and then she stood beside me and we just rushed out of the house. And here's the best part. You think that once you're out of the house, you're safe, right? Tell you what, it's not. You are not safe. You know why? Because I'm going to tell you why. So Durga's Grab came first, and once we were downstairs, when we were at the road, right? See, this is the window, okay? This is the sister's room window. This is the road, okay? The window is facing the road. We both felt like the energy hasn't left us and like something was still watching us. And then I was like, wait, where is Nick's sister's room? And then I was like, wait, it's up there. I didn't look up. Initially, I wanted to sit by the roadside and wait, but if I sit at the roadside and wait, that thing will be looking down at me, so I waited under the block. And fortunately for me, there was a funeral there and there were some people around. And I was at the staircase there, hiding. And then, right, here's the crazy part. I was texting Durga, I was like, what the fuck was that? And then as I was texting her, a literal shadow, was just picking by the pillar. And somehow, I don't know where I got the balls from, but I went to check. I went out to see whether if someone actually walked past, but there was nobody. At this point, my goosebumps were all maximum again. Like, I cannot do this anymore. It feels like my goosebumps are gonna fly out or something. It's just way too much for me. So I started playing the Holy Quran on my Spotify, loud enough for me to hear, but not enough to disturb anybody. So yeah. And if that's not bad enough, the Grab cancelled on me and I had to wait for a new one to appear. Then I was just like, oh my fucking god. And then when the Grab finally came after 15 minutes, I prayed before I walked into the Grab, okay? I prayed. And then guess what? The Grab was filled with cockroaches. But okay, that was one hell of a night. Well, if anything, do share with me your stories on the link in bio and I'll check them out.
Hey guys, here's the story time of how I was ghosted by someone that I really looked up to. They are a well-known celebrity. They're more American. If you're American, you'll know them. If you're British, you won't know them. But anyway. So I knew she was going to be in London on a certain date, and I happened to be in London on that same day. So I was like, hey, like, if you have like 5 minutes that day, like, can we meet up? And she was like, yeah, of course, like 100%, like, I love meeting my fans. Basically, the day came around, and bear in mind, it's her birthday the next day. So I have this whole gift for her. I stay till the end and I'll show what's in the gift. Basically, like, it comes to the day and she's just stopped replying completely. Like, no explanation, nothing. Just like stop replying. Bear in mind, like, we've planned like a place. Basically, we planned a place and she just like stopped replying. So I was like, oh, this is weird. And then I just had no response for the rest of the day. And since then, they haven't said a word to me. They don't owe me an explanation, but the fact they weren't like, oh, sorry, like, I can't meet up now. Especially because they knew I got them a gift because it was their birthday the next day. Like, they were in London on their own, on their birthday. So I was like, hey, I wanna get a gift because I want to be a good fan. But yeah, here's the gift reveal. First things first, this like colouring book because they're really into like art and colouring and stuff. And I just felt really nice, so I spent £6 on this. Shouldn't have done that. And then I also got them these two things because basically they were having a really bad week, so I felt bad, and so I bought them these things to try to cheer them up. Parasocial much? Anyway, so yeah, I bought them these because I couldn't decide which one to get. And I was so excited to give them to her because I know like how much she loves stuffed animals in a way, because it's just so like good for when you're having like a bad week and stuff, you know? Anyway. Also again, because they were having a bad week, they were just basically in like a really like kind of not really bad point in their lives, but basically like there was something going on. I can't really explain it unless I want to spoil who it is, and I don't want to spoil who it is. I made them this like thing. I had like this sweet message on it, and then like these little things, so they could basically take one of these out when they're having like a bad day or like bad thoughts, and they can like read it, and it's just like a little quote to cheer them up. I spent ages on that. Anyway. And last but not least, I made so many bracelets. I made like 8 bracelets. I feel like I can't show them unless I want to spoil who it is, but yeah. So this was very parasocial of me, but I genuinely thought I was going to meet them, and I just wanted to give them a nice birthday gift because it was their birthday the next day, and like I said, they were in London alone. Just wanted to be a good fan. Didn't get to meet them. We'll never know why. We'll never hear from them again. Thanks guys, bye.
This is why you should not sleep in front of a mirror. One of my followers named Jacob just told me how he encountered the Shadow Man, and I promise you every single mirror in my room will be tossed away. Before I begin, if you have a horror story that you want me to read, go ahead and follow my Instagram that's linked in my bio and DM me your story. So Jacob told me he was around 16 when this happened. He lives in the Philippines and his parents had gone away for the weekend, leaving him home alone. He told me he wasn't nervous about it, he was old enough to handle it himself. And besides, he kind of liked the freedom. But that first night, Jacob told me instead of sleeping in his room, he decided to crash in his parents' room. Their bed was bigger, more comfortable, and it made him feel a little less lonely in an empty house. But he told me the only thing about that room that gave him a pause, that kind of shook him a little bit, was the mirror. It was a tall, full-length mirror leaned against the wall, but it was angled so that if you lay in bed, you'd be able to see your reflection in the mirror, as well as the entire side of the room. He told me his parents never really thought much of it, but Jacob himself found it very unsettling. Jacob told me he's heard and been told many stories about sleeping in front of a mirror, so this was just odd to him. Still, he decided to climb in their bed, pull the covers up, and drifted off to sleep. Now, this is where it got weird. Jacob told me somewhere within the night he woke up. Not because of noise, not because of a nightmare, he just suddenly woke up staring at the ceiling. He told me his eyes wandered, just thinking, and then his eyes landed on the mirror. That's when he told me in this moment he wished that he was asleep, because staring into that mirror, he saw it. In the glass, standing right next to the bed, was a figure, a man-shaped shadow, tall and possibly dark with no face, no features, just an outline that seemed to take over the room. He told me it stood directly at his side, angled down toward him as if it was watching him. For a split second, Jacob told me he could not process what was going on. He thought maybe it was a trick in the dark. He thought that maybe he was dreaming. He thought that maybe there was an intruder in the house. He even thought at one point that the shadow was himself. But the longer he told me he looked, the more certain he became. That shadow was not him. It was someone else. And another thing he realized was that it definitely was not a human. He told me terror surged through his body in this moment, but he just couldn't move. It was like time froze. He told me his body felt heavy, his chest was tight, he was locked in place out of fear, staring into the mirror, staring at the thing that was inches away from him. He told me every instinct in his body told him to scream, to run, to get up, to do something, but nothing happened. It was just silence, just stillness. It was just that shadow. Jacob told me a few moments later, he was able to turn his head. It was like he was breaking out of a spell. He slowly turned his head and forced himself to glance away from the mirror in the same direction that the shadow would be in. With his head fully turned, Jacob told me he saw nothing. The room was completely empty, and when he turned his head back looking into the mirror, the shadow was gone. Jacob told me the fear did not fade away. He told me he was laying there shaking, heart racing. He was sweating all over. He was so scared that he couldn't even bring himself to get up to leave the room. He told me he just laid there under the covers until he was able to fall back asleep. The next morning, Jacob told me he tried to convince himself that it was all just a dream. There was no way he wanted to believe that his house was haunted or some dark shadowy figure was there to get him, living inside of the mirror. But deep down, Jacob told me he knew that it was not a dream. He knew it wasn't his eyes playing tricks on him. And he knew that because in the moment when he locked eyes with that shadow figure, he wasn't asleep. He wasn't dreaming. He was awake, frozen with fear, staring into something that should have not been there. And Jacob told me to this day, he swears whatever the shadow man was, it was real. And it was standing right next to him.
Should we show him the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
It went to both.
Yeah.
Hi Wonina, story time. Hey, ngithole DM la ku girl. Uthi girl mina ngisuka eKZN ngowase KZN ngokuhlala ngasuka eKZN ngishona eGoli ngizofuna umsebenzi. Uthi nangempela ke ngashona khona eGoli ngiyofunana nomsebenzi. Uthi hayi kwabe kukubhamba kwami. Uthi hayi ke ngagcina sengithola omunye sisi engizohlalisana naye. Wangihlalisa lo yasisi wathi ngizokuhlalisa until uzothola umsebenzi. Uthi hayi kube ukuthini sengifuna umsebenzi online sharp. Uthi nangempela ke ngiwuthola umsebenzi online ngiyithola kuphi ku Facebook. Lo sisi upostile ku Facebook umcomment ku Facebook ngithi hayi sisi ngi-interested nani. Usisi athi hayi mashone kuma DM. Okay sharp ngishone ku DM sixoxe ku DM. Uthi hayi isikhathi ren. Hayi vele ke we decided ukuthi kumele ngize asho ukuthi kuzomela ngizongena nini sokukuthatha kwami. Uthana ngempela ngitravel ngishone khona eGoli nani. Uthi mangifika vele bus wami angilentuzana size throughout angidirect ukuthi ngizoyihla kuphi. Uthi ngicene sengifika kulowo muzi. Uthi ke nangempela la ngehle khona ngehle ngase gateini opposite nje bokumele ukuthi ngijampe because ngiye ngathi mangifika lapho kwabe kuvuleka isango le gate kuphuma nje umntwana omncanyana nje intombazana ungathi no 11 10 lapho yabiphuma ingane ishona kimi straight ifike ibuza ukuthi uwe lo oze ngomsebenzi nani athi hayi yebo yimi sis and then umntwana ke angithatha ngenzeni angifake ngaphakathi ayongibonisa la khona umama. It's okay sharp ke mangifika ngithola lapha kuhlela umama kuhlele no sisi lo mncane uqeda ukungilanda and then kuhlele nobani nobhuti wakho nomdala ungathi mdala nyana kunami hayi ngifike ngibulisa okay sharp kube into zokuthini bayavuma vele hayi unjani hayi ngiyaphila nani hayi vele bangwelcome kahle kube mnandi kube nje. Uthi ke abese umama enginikeza vele ithoy ukuthi ngizolalaphi nani nomsebenzi nani because it's my first day so angitshela ukuthi okay uzoyenza into sona so hayi okay sharp. Uthi bear in mind these are black people but black people with money, you understand, laba abanemali abazikhonayo abakwazi ukuba so abantu abanjalo okay ke sharp. Uthi hayi ke nangempela wanginika itho waze wangibonisa nekamera lami. Uthi hayi kufakiwe sana kufakwe lama TV ayibaca ama plasma ke usho wona ama plasma ufakile ke nani o decoder kuhle nje ikamera libukekelayo liyabukeka le kamera. Uthi hayi ngempela khona nani ne decoder nani kumnandi nje kule kamera. Uthi hayi ke fast forward ikhamba isikhathi ngicine sengenzani nalomntwana lo wakhona. Uthi ke agcine sizwana mina nalomntwana yakhuluma nje umntwana khona intombazana uthi ngicina nasi sisichayisana sesiso mina naye sisamathe nolwimi. Uthi ingane le ingibiza ngosisi ke uthi ngixoxela ukuthi yabona usisi oze before lo oqeda ukuhamba manje yena wahamba ehambiswa ukuthi wathi kimi wathi makangitshela yena wathi khona umntwana ovele ame ephezulu ekhanda lakhe uma elele ebusuku avele ame nje phezulu ekhanda lakhe angakhulumi next zehle nje inyembezi besipopoma kanje inyembezi. Uthi le ntombazane iye yathini yagcina seyithatha into zayo ihamba. Kusho bani? Kusho umntwana utshela bani? Le ntombazane. Bese futhi uyamtshela umntwana athi uyabona lo oqeda ukuhamba manje yena wahanjiswa yini? Wahanjiswa ukuthi wathi yena bekezwa izinto ezimkrinyayo ebusuku, besimkrinya izinto zakhona zimcindezela, of which umama walengane uthe makesho yena etshela usisi lo wathi yena usisi lo wahambiswa ukuthini baxabana nalo mama because lo ntombazane leyana yajola nobani nalo mntwana walo mama, so kwaba umajolana. Wathi yena akayifuna into yomajolana, kanti unamanga uyazi ukuthi la ntombazane yaxoshwa yini ukuthi bekrinywa ebusuku. Uthi nangempela ngiyimamele mina ingane, ngilalele ingane. I'm like, Tommy usho kanje? Athi hayi ebezithulula ke lo mntwana. Uthi ke enye i-red flag engi-ignorile yile yokuthi angafuni ngilale nomntwana yakhe njalo bengafuni umntwana ebikeze akhali. Uthi bekencamela ukuthi noma utshayise ngo-2 or ngo-11 wasebusuku azazovusa ingane afuna ukuthi ayithathe ahambe ayolala nayo. Bekengafuni ukuthi ilale nami leya ngane. Bengizibuza ukuthi why ingane izikhali. Hambiyani isikhathi some other time intombazane ilele. Uthi ngilele, angilele kamnandi. Uthi hayi man ngizwe ngathi khona into egibela umbhede. Hayibo. Uthi mos ukuzwe mos umuntu makegibela umbhede kuyavothoka, like umbhede uyafothoka, so uzwe uthi man okay upresse ubeke something. Uthi bokufileka kanjalo mara bengaboni umuntu. Uthi ngenxa yokuthuka lento izisondele ukuthi uthi ukuqala ilanga lokuqala yasondela nje, yasondela nasemathangeni yafika ngithetha amathanga. Uthi ngaphenduka fast ngabheka phansi. Uthi ngakhuleka phakathi nobusuku. Uthi ngakhuleka kangangokuthi lento yagcina seyimenzani, seyimyekela. Uthi hayi okay sharp ngokuphapha kwami hambiyani ngiyotshela ingane yazi nami ngenze into esona sokwenzeka into esona sokimi. Ungane ahamba etshela umama ukuthi hayi ke nangempela umama react somehow ukuthi uzo-react in a weird way, but umama lo hayi abuye athi makebuye athi hayi akunankinga. Abuye sekebhinqa ibhayi lezangoma abuye sekephethe nosawoti loluhrof. Uthi ayafika acele kuphi endlini. Uthi into engixakayo lo sawoti oluhrof alukho mhlophe, yinto engimangazayo mara usawoti ngiyalibona kuthiwo njalo kuthiwa usawoti, mara uthi hayi ke ngizothini. Uthi into yokuxosha izinto nami hayi ke ngimamele. Uthi hayi nangempela achele benjalo nje endlini. Uthi hayi yathi nje lelo langa lelo kwathi tu kancane. Uthi hayi the following day same thing le nto beyigibela. Uthi nginini ngibona umntwana nani. Uthi hayi khamba amalanga agcine sekuvakasha umntwana kabhutwa lo sisi. Uthi afika athi kimi asho kimi ukuthi hayi man mina ngibona omunye ugogo uhambe emefastireni. Ugogo wakhona uvele nje ami athule, and nasekamereni lika auntie ugogo unokufika nje ahlale phezu kombhede ngamazi. Uthi hey ngingamameli ingane. I'm like enhlizweni yami uyangithusa ngane endini and already I'm going through a lot. Uthi Slim esiyimi ngihlale mina ngiqhubeke ngenzeni ngisebenze because ngidesperate for umsebenzi. Uthi hayi ke hambiyane isikhathi. Uthi ngalanga thizeni laphina futhi leli eleyibhoko. Uthi langa lakhona ke bengifunana nezicathulo. Ngifaka ikhanda yimi loyo ngifaka emini kaba ngifaka ikhanda phansi kolentuzana kombhede ngifunana nesicathulo sami. Uthi hayi ngicindezeleke isimanga ngathi ngiyaphupha. Uthi ngacindezeleka. Uthi yabe ilentuzana ubhasi wami ngimemeze ekhuluma ngiyamuzwa kodwa ngixaka ukuphendula. Abantwana babhizi bayangimemeza angikwazi nokuphendula. Uthi bathe mabeqeda ukuphuma yahlathuka le yanto. Uthi ngaphuma phansi kombhede ngabaleka. Ujubani Slima lesesiyimi angiyindawo ngahlala still. Uthi hayi ke kwathi kwafika leli langa ngiyazitshela khona ukuthi akuzomela ngiqale ngiye esontweni. Uthana nangempela ngaqala ngaba umuntu esontweni. Uthi ngaqala ngaba umuntu othandazayo. Ubhasi beke ngayithandi le nto ngoba beke thetha athi ubani ozoyenza ini and of which ezinye izinto bengivuka ngizenze kuseni ngiqede kube inkinga yokuthi ngibona bayangcolisa nani kodwa ke beke funa ngihlale. Uthi angalanga thizeni ngavuka ekseni ngaklina indlu ngayenza sure ukuthi perfect. Uthi hayi nangempela ngashona phi esontweni sontweni. Uthi hayi vele mangifika esontweni hayi ngakhuleka ngayikhulekisa ngachaza nodaba lami ngakhulekisa esontweni ngakhulekiswa. Uthi hayi ke ngikhuleke kube yileyo nto. Uthi hayi ke manje mase ngibuyela emsebenzini hayi ngithatha into zami vele ngibuyele emsebenzini. Uthi mangifika ngiyakokota akunamuntu ongivulelayo. Ngiyamemeza sibani akunamuntu ongivulelayo. Uthi kuze kuphuma umakhelwane. Athi make phuma umakhelwane. Hayi bo sawubona yebo unjani singakusiza ngani? Athi umakhelwane hayi bengifuna abantu bangapha ekhaya ukuthi bakhona nani. Athi hayi umakhelwane akunabantu lapho kudala nje indlu nje elentuzane irentisayo kunabantu abahlalayo ngabo. Tuke ngithi uthi ena ngiphumile ekseni la kunabo athi ulentuzana umakhelwane ngithi mina lapho sokuna 3 months kungahlali abantu balapho baphuma kudala ngenxa yokuhlutshwa ilentuzana ugesi nani into enjalo so bagcine sebehambile kudala basuka abantu balapho. Uthi ayina ngempela ngene kumakhelwane ngimchazele ngisondele eduze kwakhe ngimchazele uthi umakhelwane athi singaze sifonele uMastandi kufonela uMastandi athi hayibo leyo ndlu yami leyo ina 3 months ingarentwa sizigijimisa 4 months. Uthi girl ngangazi nokuthi ngiyephi ngangingazi uthi luckily leyo mama wathi uzongi-accommodate for some time fonela endlini bangizamile imali ukuthi ngibuye. Uthi girl kuyo yonke nje into oyenzayo dolo uthi kuqange dolo kuyo yonke into oyenzayo idolo.
Never thought I'd be scared of a knock-knock joke, that's for sure. But after listening to this story last night, I had to go to the restroom, and the whole time I'm in the restroom, I'm like, no one better knock on my door right now. No one better knock on my door. So the guy gets woken up by his girlfriend saying, knock, knock. He looks at the time, and it is 3:27 in the morning, and he is so confused. So he's like, what are you doing? Why are you waking me up saying knock, knock? And her response to all of that is, knock, knock. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, we're asleep. Why are you waking me up trying to get me to play this little game with you by saying knock knock? And his girlfriend's like, just answer me. And she goes, knock knock. And he's like giving up, so he's like, fine, who's there? And she says, it's not me, don't open the door. Turns around and goes back to sleep, and he stays there like, what the fuck? So he ends up going to bed still, and the following morning he wanted to ask her why she did that, and it almost seemed like she was trying to ignore his question, but she ends up telling him, oh, it's just a little prank that I thought of, and like she leaves to work. Like she was trying everything to avoid the question for whatever reason. So they both go to work, they have dinner, and they go to bed, and again he gets woken up by her saying knock knock. He looks at the clock and it's 3:27 in the morning, and he looks at her and says, you already told me this was a prank, why are you doing this again? Let's just go back to sleep. And the only thing she responds to him with is knock knock. So he's irritated and he's like, what is the point of this? What are you doing? Like, just tell me what's the end game. All she says is just answer, knock knock. And he's like, fine, who's there? And she goes, it's not me, don't open the door. She turns around and goes back to bed. So at this point, the boyfriend is angry because he's like, why is she waking us up over a stupid prank or joke or game when we both have to work the next day? So that morning when they woke up to go to work, he was like, you need to tell me why you're doing this. And she wasn't going to leave the door like she did the first night, not really giving him a real answer. So he's like, you need to tell me why. What's the end game? What are you doing? However, she gives him the same answer. It's just a game. It's just a game. Like, and he's like, why? And she's like, it's a game. And she just like leaves the house. So as you can imagine, they come home, have dinner, go to sleep, and again she wakes him up at 3:27 in the morning, but this time he's not answering. He's like, why are you doing this? What is the end game? And she goes, just answer, knock knock, just answer. And he's like, no. And she's like, answer, knock knock, answer. And he's like, I'm not answering, why are you doing this? So he's like, you know you're causing a problem in our relationship. This isn't a joke anymore. You're waking me up in the middle of the night when we both have to go to work. So no, I don't want to play your game. Why are you doing this? You're like creating issues in our relationship. And she's still like, answer, please, answer, knock knock. So he ends up saying, who the fuck is it? Like, who the fuck is at that door? And she goes, it's not me, don't open the door. She turns around and goes to sleep. So morning comes around and he wants to have a serious conversation with her. So he tells her, I don't know how or what kind of conversation I need to have with you to let you know that it's really messed up that you keep waking us up in the middle of the night and it's creating a big problem. And this time she was like apologetic. She's like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to do it. I just thought it was a game. He's angry with that answer because it makes no fucking sense where you keep doing this to him, you know what I mean? So he storms out. He goes to work and all day she's sending him text messages like, I'm sorry, and she's calling him, he's not answering. He's ignoring everything. He mentions that the last text that she sends him is like, I'm so sorry, I know that sleep is important, I promise this is not gonna happen again, please forgive me. But the boyfriend kind of starts feeling bad because they had never argued like this before, so for him to ignore her calls or texts made him feel a little bit guilty. So he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna forgive her and I'm gonna make her dinner because I don't want this to be like the end of us. So he goes home, he makes her dinner, they eat together, and they go to bed. This time he gets woken up again with a knock knock. He glances at the clock and it's 3:27 in the morning, and he says that he wants to get up and just scream at the top of his lungs. Like he wants to grab everything in that room and just fucking break it apart. So he says that he turns to look at his girlfriend that's probably next to him, like saying knock knock, but instead she's standing on the bed looking down at him with the craziest smile saying knock knock. The way he describes this smile, I don't know if you guys ever seen that movie, oh my god, the movie Smile, okay, where it's like extended and it looks freaky. He's like, the smile was very off-putting. It was not like her normal smile. So as he's looking up at her with that weird fucking smile, she says, what are you doing? And in between that smiley face, she's telling him, knock knock. Oh my god, I got chills. At that moment, after she says knock knock again with her weird ass fucking smile, he says that her body started cracking and bending, and it was like a scene from a scary movie, and it scared him so much that he jumps out of bed and runs to the kitchen. But once he gets to the kitchen to catch a breath, he hears a knock at the front door. When he hears the knock, his first instinct is like, who is it? And it's his girlfriend's voice saying, love, please open the door. Whatever is in there is not me. Open the door, please. Whatever is in there is not me. Open the door, please. Please open the door. Don't listen to the person that's in there. Open the door. He has no idea what to do because he's like, who's the real one? In the bedroom, outside the door. But in that moment, he had no time to do anything because whoever was in the bedroom, his girlfriend, comes out with that creepy smile, running full force towards him. But by the time she's about to get to him, he faints, passes out because of how scared he was. He says that he wakes up 2 hours later and his girlfriend is nowhere in that home. He says that he hasn't seen her since. He even made a police report or a missing person report because he has not heard of her. He has not seen her. Like, she's disappeared and has never returned. Honestly, that scares me more because what if one day she comes back with her creepy ass smile? Can you imagine? Knock knock. Oh, I just scared myself. Anyway, what do you guys think? Because first of all, the first knock knock, if my husband woke up and said knock knock and I'm like, who's there? It's not me, don't open the door. Divorced, bitch. What the
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
I seriously can't shake this story. It has haunted me for the last 15 years. And I can't believe I'm even thinking about it, let alone speaking it out loud right before I attempt to go to sleep. Baby, them sleep paralysis demons are gonna have a lot of ammo for me tonight, and that's what I freaking know. But either way, when I was about 13 years old, I became friends with a girl named Ashley. So one of the first times that I spent the night at her apartment, her mom told me and her the story of a little girl that had passed away there. Now, the only people that lived in Ashley's apartment was her mom, and her older sister. But at the time, her older sister didn't stay there a lot. And her mom had this hanging, like, swing. It was a little tiny doll swing that would hang from the ceiling. And she also had like this small glass cabinet where she had a few porcelain dolls. Don't even get me started about porcelain dolls and how creepy they are. So one of the first things that ever happened in Ashley's apartment was it was me, her, and a couple of our other friends, and we were sitting there talking. So we start talking about scary stuff that's ever happened to, you know, each of us or whatever. And I told Ashley, I was like, tell them what your mom told us. And she told them, you know, when my mom signed on for this apartment, they told her that there had been a death in that apartment in recent years, and it was a young child about 7 years old, and that she had gotten electrocuted in the upstairs bathroom. And Ashley couldn't stand to sleep alone upstairs because of it. So she tells them that, and then they're like saying a couple other little things that had happened to them. And all of a sudden, that doll sitting on the swing, hanging from the ceiling, just starts swinging and like twirling like from side to side. There were no air vents in the ceiling near that doll, and none of us were touching that doll. And it just literally started swinging at full force. And we were, you know, preteen girls, so we freaked out, took off running outside. We did not go back in until her mom got home. Now, I stayed with Ashley a lot, you know, in middle school, and there was one time, this was terrifying, but when her sister wasn't there, we always slept in her room. We stayed up pretty late just talking and hanging out, and neither one of us had like smartphones or anything like that, but we kept hearing noises coming from the bathroom, which was directly beside of her sister's room. Her mom would sleep downstairs in the living room every night, so we knew it wasn't her. We would have heard her come up the stairs. We got really freaked out and slept with the light on. And Ashley never turned the bathroom light off in that bathroom. At one point in the middle of the night, I woke up because I heard the bedroom door open. It had previously been closed, and so it jostled me about. And when I rose up, she woke up. I'm staring out into the hallway through this crack in the door, trying to see if her mom had come in there for some reason, when all of a sudden the bathroom light flickers and then goes off. I'm smacking her leg like, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you seeing what I'm seeing right now?" Then the door to her sister's room slams closed. We knew it was late, so we literally slammed our hands across our mouths to keep from screaming at the top of our lungs. I looked at Ashley and was begging her, "Please go wake your mom up. Please, please, please go wake your mom up." So we didn't have cell phones to check the time, but we did have the house phone. She wanted to see how close it was to the normal time her mom got up so she wouldn't be pissed that she woke her up. So where we live, we have this thing at the time called the time and temperature man. You would call this number and it would be like a robotic voice that would say, "The time is blah, 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 and the temperature is da, 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 da." So she called the time and temp man and it was 3:15 on the dot. Which, if you know, you know. You don't mess around at no 3:15 in the morning. Needless to say, we didn't care about her mom getting mad about us waking her up anymore. I've never flown down steps so fast. I mean, I literally closed my eyes so that I didn't catch a glimpse of something in the bathroom. And as soon as we got to the bottom of the stairs, the bathroom light turned back on up there. If I have to have nightmares, you all do too. Anyway, have a spooky night and don't forget to tuck your feet in so the demons don't take you under the bed.